As said before, many of us are trying to achieve some level of mastery. Many of us are trying to be at the highest pinnacle or peak of our performance. And yet we feel like we're stifled and things are slow and things are not really working to our advantage. And what do we really do? I mean, I know this has definitely happened to me. I mean, I'm in the personal development industry. And, if you compare that to many other industries, it's not as lucrative necessarily based on the statistics. It's not necessarily something that's on the forefront of many people's minds. Okay. And you guys are special individuals because this is at the forefront of your minds now. And if you compare it to things like finance, health, and all these bigger industries, it doesn't compare in the same way in terms of results. But I truly believe that it's what everybody needs. I mean, having a coach is a luxury. Having a therapist in some people's minds is a necessity, and I can see why. So personal development shapes a lot of what we do. And the reason I'm saying this is because I want to give you some perspective in terms of the fact that I felt this myself. Sometimes I'm like, things are not working the way I want them to work. And, I really want them to work better. But really and truly, I need to have an eye of caution. I need to make sure I don't get shiny eye syndrome. And I understand what task is ahead of me. What is it that I'm trying to actually do? And I'm saying the same thing to you. And so in this video, I really want to outline some questions for you to think about to really see how you can sort of turn the needle and allow things to work better for you because you've changed the way you think about things. So here's the first question. Do you love what you're doing? Does it light you up inside? Were you influenced by an individual who is, I guess, propagating you to do this right now? What do I mean by this? A lot of us are doing things because we think it's going to make us rich or because our parents told us to do it or we think it's going to get us clout. Is that the right thing to do? I don't think so. It needs to come from within. So really question to yourself, does this really make sense for me? Not even just now, but just for me as a person. Because if the answer is no, then maybe there are some more explorations that you need to have to understand what you should be doing. So that's the first question. The second question is, assuming that it is for you, is are you giving yourself enough time each day to dedicate towards that cause? Look, we're in an age where we're distracted by so many different things, whether that is our Instagram, our TikTok, any forms of social media, our screens, our laptops, people calling us, our work, because we're working from home quite a lot these days. Like, there's so much to distract us right now. And we're not in a space where we can create stillness and we can create that space of focusing on one thing or a few things. So my question to you is, if you were to look at your calendar, if you track this stuff, are you giving yourself enough time or are you trying to get everything in? Look, when I talk about high performance, I'm not talking about getting everything done in a day, okay? And stressing yourself out. Look, I understand there are sacrifices that need to be made, but it's all in context. You have to understand how you need to manage your obsession. Managing everything at one time is dangerous because it affects your health. It could do, okay? There are some people who can handle it, but there are some people who, unfortunately, it's affected them in the wrong way. So I'm saying to you, are you giving yourself enough time? Are you prioritizing enough? I spoke about vital prioritization or vital priorities in my previous video. Check that out to understand how you can prioritize things better. So think to yourself, are you giving yourself enough time? The third thing is, have you really studied the game to understand what mastery looks like? Have you really studied the game? What do I mean by this? Let's say, for example, you are trying to lose weight. I always use health, wealth, and relationships as an example. Do you understand what it takes to lose weight? What kind of weight you try to lose? If it's body fat, do you understand that there are certain foods that are going to enable you to do this? Do you understand that you have a certain calorie deficit that you need to achieve each day at least to lose that weight? Do you understand that you need to be able to do certain exercises, etc., to do it at a certain rate? Like, do you understand the game? If it's in relationships, as an example, what's your communication saying? Are you always talking about you, or are you talking about the other person as well? Are you using deep and active listening? Are you using effective and empowering questions? Are you using your inner supervision to communicate with your loved one? If it's a business, are there people within your industry who are killing it in a game that you can learn from? Okay, that you can really learn from. From start to finish. Do you understand the beginning of their funnel? Do you understand the end of their funnel? Do you understand how the market trends affect your type of industry or category? Really dive deep, because when you immerse yourself in the space, then you understand that there are things that you haven't done. And so it's not about saying, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, that, and that. It's about understanding the game. Get the game. Understand the strategy for you. Understand the sequence of steps that typically enables someone to be successful and therefore a master or potentially master in their space and field. The fourth thing is, what are the benefits? What are the payoffs for you? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? Have you been promised something? Or is there something that you believe you'll get from this? If you don't experience this, at least in some form already, then maybe you need to question, why are you doing this? Because sometimes the satisfaction, and some may say all the time, is in the journey as opposed to the process. Okay. There are opposing views to this. I think it depends on who you are. But whether it's the journey or the process, do you enjoy what you're doing? What's the payoff for you? Really understand that reason why, as Simon Sinek talks about, and to really break that down rather than saying why. What is it that you truly believe will come from this? Understand that. The fifth thing I'll say is, what skills are you trying to develop? What skills you actually need to be a success? Now, again, success is templated based on your strategy and what the market or customers define as success. If you're in a business space, if you're in a relationship, then that's your partner. If it's health, then it's the metrics in relation to what you're trying to do. So what skills do you need to develop? Are these the skills of discipline? Are these the skills of editing? Are these the skills of emotional intelligence? What are the skills that you need? Okay, what are the principles that you need in order for you to be successful? The next thing is, how do you gain feedback? How do you make sure that you're not wasting your time and actually you know you're on track? Look, if you're just doing things willy-nilly and hoping things will change, it's not going to work. Jim Rohn once said, for things to change, you need to change. And that change comes either by external forces or intrinsically, because you've got feedback that enables you to understand how to orient in the right way. So whether you're using people, whether you're using data, whether you're expressing yourself qualitatively, you need to find ways to gauge or gain feedback in order for you to understand how to maneuver, pivot, or reorient your path. So gain feedback where you can. The next thing is, do you have the right environment, systems, people in place to make sure that regardless of everything else, that things are ticking along? Do you have those things in place? And if not, why not? Why hasn't that been happening? Sometimes it's just your environment. Sometimes the environment doesn't allow you to be great. So you need to allow yourself to be great. You give yourself that permission. In some instances, some people don't have that luxury. Okay. Some people have to be patient, whether they're in somebody else's household, whether they're in a city that doesn't enable them to do certain things, whether they don't have the funds yet to move out. So think to yourself, what is preventing you from reaching that next barrier? Are there things you can do now? There's always a possibility of improvement now. Look, when all things are dire, the only thing that we have is hope. If you haven't, listened to the book or read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he talks about this all the time. I quote it all the time in terms of how between stimulus and a response there is a space, and within that space, therein lies our growth and our freedom. So think about those things in terms of how you can respond better in order for you to maneuver along. It's difficult, I know, but it requires us to have a stoic mindset. Okay. And the final thing is there something you need to do first before you can actually do what you're doing right now? Sometimes it's a case of the fact that you don't have the funds. So you need to actually slow down. There's this movement right now where a lot of people are into the entrepreneurial space, which is great. I think it's a fantastic thing. I think we need more entrepreneurs who can actually be ambassadors of the earth and actually shape it and craft it in a way that suits the benefit of mankind, man and womankind, should I say. And so with that in mind, it doesn't mean that it's right for everybody in that space. It doesn't mean it's right for everyone, actually. All I can say to that is, sometimes you need to just humble yourself and say, actually, a 9-to-5's for me. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. We need people in 9-to-5s. So all I'm saying is, sometimes we like to jump the gun and run faster when really we need to learn how to walk. We need to even crawl first before we learn how to walk. So think about the things you need to set as a foundation. Do you know what? This frustrates me. There are so many people who don't like to create solid foundations, undeniable foundations before they move forward. They want to rush because so-and-so said you can do it now. Whether that's the truth or not, I'm telling you, foundations will create longevity in the long run. So think about what you need to do in order for you to continue doing what you're doing. So hopefully these different things have given you some perspective in terms of how you can move the needle forward in order for you to start getting the results that you deserve. If you want more insights in this, make sure to click the link in my bio as I talk about different ways in which you can become a high-performing individual and master different areas of your life. If you like videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.